From the production studios of Epic Financial Strategies here in Red Bank, New Jersey, we are Infinity X, giving a stage and microphone to human excellence in the constant pursuit of creating infinite opportunities for entrepreneurs, for aspiring business owners, and for individuals who are looking to scale in mastery by monitoring, measuring, and by scaling after people who have been there, done that, and are doing things in exciting verticals. And ladies and gentlemen, I am incredibly excited about tonight. Tonight we have Dylan Smith joining us, and I had the good fortune of, well, let me take a step back. You know, when you're a parent, especially of a daughter, you have the tendency to be pretty guarded, right? And I am incredibly protective and incredibly guarded over my beautiful 18-year-old daughter, Gabrielle, who is, and listen, rightfully so. It's a crazy world that we live in now, but she's an incredibly great kid, and I'm very, very blessed. And Gabrielle is a gym rat, right? She's in the gym every single day without fail. She threatens that she can squat 300 pounds. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Dylan will verify that later on. But on a daily basis, up in Mahopac, New York, where we were living for the last 6 years, Gabrielle had joined a gym. And she was doing really, really well in creating a balance between working and going to school and going to the gym. And I get a random phone call from her, and this is going back maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And she says, "Dad, listen, I met a guy that I've become friends with a guy that I think might be a good guest on your podcast." I said, "Oh yeah, tell me a little bit more." And she says, "Well, his name is Dylan Smith, and he has a company by the name of D is for Dyslexia." And I said, "Okay, that's interesting. Tell me what my outcome would be, right? Why do you think that Dylan would be a good guest?" And she said, "Well, not only does he have a large following, but Dad, he's got a message in an area that is so underserved in the school community and in the community in general, which is children that are either living with and not been diagnosed with, or have been diagnosed but are not receiving aid in the area of dyslexia." And I got to tell you, that really, really, really hit my heart, because I have 2 cousins. I don't have dyslexia personally, but I have 2 cousins who had dyslexia and had an unbelievably difficult time, not only in grammar school, but really all the way through high school, because it actually went undiagnosed and they really didn't understand what was happening. And it was incredibly frustrating. There was some bullying involved, unfortunately, as a result of it. And it just hit my heart. And, entrepreneurship does not just mean an IPO. Entrepreneurship does not just mean becoming a millionaire, but sometimes entrepreneurship not only involves making money, but also means serving a community that absolutely is dying for that leadership. And so, ladies and gentlemen, replay weareinfinityx.com, We Are Infinity X YouTube, Apple and Spotify. And all the other verticals that we're on. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Dylan Smith. Dylan, it's so great to have you here tonight, man. How you doing? Merry Christmas to you, brother.
Merry Christmas to you as well. I really appreciate the very, very warm welcome. Thank you so much for having me and taking the time.
Absolutely, Dylan. It's a pleasure. It's a real pleasure. From the minute that we spoke the first time, I was just blown away. Dylan, first and foremost, for the record, how old are you?
I'm 21.
21 years old, ladies and gentlemen, 21. Ask yourself, after you listen to this podcast, are you as motivated as Dylan is, and were you this motivated at 21? You might be scratching your head, but Dylan, in our first conversation, I was just blown away. I was blown away by your organization. I was blown away by the infrastructure that you've put together. I was blown away by your following on Instagram at D_is_for dyslexia, right? I think I got that right. We'll put out your website, all those different things. But brother, tell us a little bit about you, where you grew up, what you experienced having. Correct me if I'm wrong. Having dyslexia and overcoming that. Just bring us through your journey a little bit, buddy.
So, our company is Dyslexia, but our slogan is defying all odds. And I really think we have to live by that. And, having dyslexia isn't just having dyslexia. And it doesn't mean you can't defy the odds if you don't have dyslexia. And that is the big, real message, right? It's like, dyslexia is my outlet because it's the experience I had, but the defying odds is what I really stand by, because I feel we all struggle with something, and we all have to defy the odds in some type of way through our life, no matter who you are, where you grew up, who your parents were, who your friends were. We all had to at one point in our life. So I think that's relatable in a lot of ways. And I really believe I had to. But to do a really quick introduction of myself, I'm 21. I was adopted twice. First time from Russia, second time I had a second father. That's in both the magazines I'm in.
Wow.
And yeah, so we were adopted from Russia in 2003. And then in our 7th grade year, which was 2014, we were adopted again by a new father. So really, it's 5 parents before I was even 15 years old, which is crazy, but it's a blessing, because I really believe everything that I had went through had helped build me who I am today. So if we'll fast forward through that, and then our father now, who's really my hero, honestly, him and my mom, I was in New Hampshire, and they put me on medicine. They put me on Ritalin and Concerta at 10 years old for ADHD.
What?
I think I was
for ADHD at 10 years old.
Yes.
Okay. And why was that? Why they snap their finger and put you on that medication?
So the teacher said Dylan was not paying attention. He had a lot of energy. He was distracting other kids from learning in school. But I mean, personally, being around kids now more and more as an adult, that's just every 10-year-old boy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They have too much energy. They're all can't focus. That's just a 10-year-old boy. He's a ball of energy.
Yep.
As you know, you have a young son. That's all they are. They want to bounce from corner of the house to corner of the house.
From the minute that they wake up until the minute that they go to bed. That's a kid. That's what kids are.
So my parents went to the doctors because a educator had suggested it, and then the doctor went, "Oh yeah, boom, ADHD." I think we were talking to you about 10 minutes before they decided to put me on Ritalin and Concerta.
Wow.
That went on for 10 years. Man. So I was on Ritalin and Concerta for 10 years. No fault to my parents, no fault to the suggestion, no fault to the doctor, just not enough evaluation had been performed. And then when my being in school, not knowing you have dyslexia, on this medicine that you don't want to take, and the side effects that's having on your body, and you not knowing how to read all the way up until 10th grade, not knowing how many letters are on the alphabet all the way up till 10th grade, always being known, and as you said, like bullied, your cousins, like always being known as the stupid kid, always being bullied for being the stupid kid. But really, and what I love about going to schools is bringing in the perspective is the word here, because when you let somebody know, here's a normal kid's day. In high school, we'll go high school, right? We'll go middle school because they have recess still. So you come in, you talk with your friends for the first 10 minutes before the bell rings, you go to class. You guys are in class, you're joking, you're focusing, you're doing your work. The first step of the day for a dyslexic has started before you got there. Because a dyslexic, like me, myself, I had to go into class, an hour earlier before you could even be on the bus, because I had to make sure my teachers knew that I was the kid who wanted to be there, that I was trying, that I wasn't the kid in the back that didn't care. I just genuinely struggled, because at that point we didn't know why I was struggling. So, wow. And then say it's lunchtime, right? All your friends go to lunch. You grab your lunch, you go to another teacher you're struggling in class, and you study with her. And then it's recess. You stay inside and study with a different teacher, because you don't understand her class either.
Oh my God.
And then after school, your friends go and play, right?
Right.
And you go to a tutor. No, you stay after school. They go do sports. You go to a tutor. At the end of the day, the kids who don't even realize it, that perspective is amazing, right? Because every kid says, I get recess, I get lunch, I get after school, I get sports. That's a right.
Right.
But when school is giving them this experience, it really opens up everybody's eyes, going, those aren't rights, those are luxuries, right? So those are a luxury for most kids, but the kids who like dyslexic or not knowing what they're doing or academically struggling, it's a luxury to be able to do it once a month. Yep. Maybe if I get my this. And also the big eye opener is, say I do that, I'm doing double the time as my peers. test day or homework comes around, I'm getting 50s and they're getting hundreds. So not only did I not get to hang out with my friends, not only did I not get to play the sport, not only did I not get to, but now I'm also failing and I'm the stupid kid.
Jesus.
So
you
can't win.
Dylan, let me ask you a question too. Was that label actually being put on you by other kids? Was it adults? I mean, were they literally quote unquote calling you the stupid kid?
Yeah, I had a lot of kids calling me the stupid kid. I had a lot of it wasn't called to my face, but other parents had said things like, he's a bad egg. I don't even know what that means, but like it was a crazy time. But then again, it built me who I am today, right? And it's I look at everything now with my perspective, and when I have a challenge, I'm excited. Maybe I'm insane, I don't know, because in my head, if you have a challenge, it's an area where you can grow, and I look at it as an opportunity to become one step closer to who you really want to be.
Yep. Very well said, brother. Very, very well said. And so it's just, no child should have to go through what you experienced and what these kids are experiencing, because what I'm hearing is desire. What I'm hearing is not even wanting to fit in, but wanting to have the semblance and structure of personal satisfaction, right? Where you're sacrificing the rights, in our society that these children are afforded to have as a result of the structure of our system, which is, enjoying recess with your friends, right? And having the luxuries of being a child. You got robbed of that, right?
Yeah.
In many, many ways. And so you're putting in all of this effort, and you're getting the 50 on the test that other kids are getting, hundreds on. I can't imagine what that must have done to your psyche when nobody was looking. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, when you're at home or by yourself, I can't imagine what that must have been like.
As a kid, it was crazy. It felt like a no win. As a kid, I would come home and I would jump on my bike and I would ride away from my house before my mom got home from work, so I wouldn't do homework. So I had a breath of air. And I'd go play with the kids in the neighborhood. We'd ride our bikes, just do kid things. And it was amazing for most of it. But then there were still stupid comments thrown around just because of the situation, right? But, you learn to just let it roll off your back. And, you just know you're putting in hard work, or maybe I am, right? Because I'm a kid, I don't know. And then you come home and it's homework time and it's right back to it. So I'm doing double the hours and no outcome. But I think that the one thing that the question for a lot of people was, why would I even go to school if that's what it was like?
Yeah.
I'd done as a kid is I've always focused on one win a day. And you could do that in the real
world. Entrepreneurs, listen to what he is saying right now. Go ahead, Dylan. That's fire.
Yeah, so I did this as a kid and I didn't even know I was doing it, but I transferred to a business and obviously it helps. But the power of one win a day. So it's not like, okay, well, if I go to this is not this. Where I go to math, I get one problem. I go to social studies, I understand one thing. No, you go to math, you understand one problem. You can come back tomorrow because you become that 1% better every day. Obviously, now as a kid, I did not think that way. I thought, okay, I figured out math. I can come back tomorrow. That was just like the end of it. But I went to school with a smile on my face because I got to see my friends. I knew that I could improve. I knew that when I got the concept, it was kind of exciting. Oh my God, I get this concept. Right? So it's like, when you look out a car window, you drive home from work on a Friday and it's raining. Most people in the world are going to be like, I'm stuck in traffic. The rain sucks.
Life sucks. I'm in this metal coffin. I hate my life. I hate my job. I hate my wife. I hate my husband. I hate everything. Just anger, right? The retreat to scarcity. Yeah.
And understand, because I think with me having to understand that I didn't have those luxuries, now I look at everything that is not a necessity is a luxury. Now, I don't care if it's raining. I don't care if I'm in traffic. I'll be in the car and I'll be like, great, I have a new car. Great, I have a full tank of gas. Great, I have a job. Great, there's a rainbow coming after the rain anyway. I hope I see it on the way home.
Yeah. Yep.
If you focus on those things, that perspective is insane.
So Dylan, what happened though? When in fact was dyslexia diagnosed for you, and what action steps were put in place to help you to accelerate and to handle it and to deal with it, because many people, I would imagine that the majority of our listeners just have no ability to identify with how frustrating that must be. But I don't even really understand all of the symptoms of dyslexia, quite frankly.
Right. So so the way it happened was very dedicated parents. I'll give a lot of support, almost all of the support and credit to those two amazing people, my mom and dad.
Yep.
So my dad, I'd been growing up and I'd been saying this term to my teachers and parents for probably that 10 years. Mom, dad, teacher, X, it looks like Chinese. And I wasn't saying it looks like Chinese because I don't understand it. I was saying like it looks like Chinese because I probably couldn't differentiate Chinese from English at the time.
Got it.
And that's a very big touch point for there. But when I kept saying it to my parents, my dad, he sat down with me and he did work with me. And we would work for an hour. He was just trying to figure it out. Work for an hour. For social studies, say, have to memorize a couple things. He'd let me hang out on my phone or video games or something for 20 minutes. We'd come back after 20 minutes. I forgot everything. Or I don't know what's going on anymore. And we just were in that death cycle.
Yeah.
So he goes, okay, I'm going to have him evaluated. He did his research. He goes, who's the best to evaluate kids educationally speaking, book smarts, all that, to diagnose an actual something? Because this is not ADHD.
Right.
And we went to Marta Flom, and this is going into 9th or 10th grade.
Okay.
Marta Flom, and I had 2.5 days of these tests all day long. And she came out, she said, he's got a severe count of dyslexia. Take him off the meds immediately. Now that was great, right? So like this whole time we're like, oh my God, what is it? We're going to these hunting learning center. We're doing tutoring. We're doing this, and nothing's just working. Like I went to hunting learning center. We spent $10,000 in 2 years. And the evaluation test when you go in, there's an evaluation test when you're done. My evaluation test when I was done was worse than the one that came in.
Unbelievable.
So that's nuts, that perspective. And once we were evaluated, my dad, I'll never forget it. He pulled me to the side, and he was shocked. And I had apologized to him because I was like, oh, shoot, I'm sorry. And he didn't understand how I got to 10th grade not knowing how to read. He was like, what? How did you get here? Like, it was an hour ride home. I'll never forget it. He's like, Dylan, how'd you do it? And I was like, how'd I do what? He goes, how'd you get through?
I'm asking myself that exact same question, but I guess it was the journey of what you did pre, during, and post educational hours, right? You were putting in the work.
I did that non-subconsciously. I just knew that, well, if I want to make it and keep my head above water, I guess it's to go fight or flight, I guess. I'd say, but it's I have to survive. And when you're in that mindset, you figure out every way you can to survive. Yep. And you're like, that's it. I'm doing this, this, and this. So these teachers know. Like I was skipping gyms for this too. Like I lost all that fun time because I needed to make sure these teachers knew I was not the kid in the back vaping who didn't care.
Right.
They needed to know that. And what was crazy is in high school, I mean, I won the Strive Award. I won the Signature Student Award, but I had 50s. So that's my dad's favorite story because it's like, how did you do that if you were getting 50s?
Because you were putting in the effort.
Yeah. And building relationships with teachers and a repertoire with teachers and all of that. Mm-hmm. So I was basically in a business sense networking. That's exactly.
You're reading my mind right now. And anybody who's listening, by the way, real quick break. We are Infinity X, stage and microphone, human excellence. This is Dylan Smith. The company is D is for Dyslexia. Replay, weareinfinityx.com. We are Infinity X YouTube, Spotify, and Apple iTunes. And ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. Right, because what you're hearing here is you're hearing not only the message of perseverance, right, but in addition to that, you know, Dylan just by default had to learn the process mastery of influence mastery. Right, and that is our business partner Sean Callaghy. Incredible man, and you'd really identify with him, Dylan, because he's one of the most successful attorneys in the history of the United States, and he's blind. He's legally blind, and he had a degenerative eye disease that essentially the only thing he has now is tunnel vision, peripherally. That's it. He can't see anything in front of him, and yet he has 2 top 100 jury verdicts, a 150-person law firm, and has a peak performance coaching company by the name of Unblinded, and has spoke on Tony Robbins' stage 16 times. Yeah, incredible human. But one of the things that Sean introduced to me a while ago, Dylan, and has really really changed the course of my ability to develop relationships with people is he gave me a formula for it. And there are a whole bunch of different components to the unblinded results formula, but one of the mega powers that he always talks about is influence, right? Our greatest superhuman power is our ability to, with integrity, influence others, right? And essentially take somebody to hello to yes with integrity, right? So your power to manifest influence in relationship building with the faculty and staff of the high school that you went to the point where you're receiving Strive Awards and having the grade point average that you did is miraculous. It's miraculous, But, I don't think that people... I don't think that they do enough self-reflection to identify and learn from the areas of process and personal mastery that it requires to develop relationships with people. And it sounds like you discovered that right away, bud. So kudos to you.
That skill has gotten me so many places. Like it got me on the New York Fashion Week red carpet. Oh. It got me in the Rick Ross. It got me hanging out with Floyd Mayweather. It got me partying with the Migos last year in Atlanta.
I mean, so we're going to unpack all of that here in a minute, bro. So my God. Okay. So now
got me on magazines and everything.
I love it. But that didn't knock on your door, right? And say, hey, Dylan, no. Come on onto a red carpet and hang out with freaking Floyd Mayweather. It took, a lot of things had to transpire and come to fruition for those unique, incredible opportunities to come about. So let's go back for a minute to the diagnosis, the car ride with your father, right? And what then were the action steps that were implemented in your world that essentially changed everything for you?
So this ride was a Sunday.
Yep.
He was astonished. He didn't understand any of it. I was a kid. I didn't really understand any of it. I was just like, Dad, I'm just moving through the motions, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm 12 or whatever. Yeah. Moving through the motions and just doing what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And that was a Sunday. That next Saturday, we had our first meeting with Stephanie Rotman. She does a program for dyslexia called Orton Gillingham, and it's a sensory memorization program for dyslexia. So you say it, you do it in the sky, you do it with weighted pencils, pens, pencils, grips, in the sand, with shaving cream. So not only when you say an A after this program, right? When you say it, your body already shocks. It goes, I remember what an A feels like in a pen, a pencil, in the air, saying it, and shaving cream. So your whole body's like, hey, I know exactly what that looks like. Right? So that you start from square one. My first day, we did ABC, 3 letters at 16 years old.
It's wild.
And my parents were like, they cried the first time because
of course I would have.
Humbling, but for me, I was desperate. I was like, I remember him going, I remember them going, Dylan, this is so humbling. I remember my mom crying and my dad just being like, dude, you're 16. It's June and you're in here learning your ABCs. And I remember him telling me, he goes, you're going to do this? And I go, I will do anything I'm willing to do anything that it takes. At 16 years old and going, we're doing this and I'm all in. And, it paid off because I was at a 7th grade reading level. I want to say 6th grade reading level at 10th grade. And I was able to graduate with my class by doing that.
Wow. Man, I'll tell you what, as a parent, the the roller coaster of emotions, and I have a son with special needs, and not dramatic, but still special needs nonetheless, and just the roller coaster of emotion that I can only imagine that they felt, from the pain to the joy of, I can't even imagine what it must have been like in their heart to watch you get that diploma, man. I can't even, I couldn't I couldn't describe that.
Well, what's funny is I'll never forget our first IEP meeting back after it was 11th grade and the first semester of college was high school, like first semester, like before Christmas of New Year. And they're going over my grades. And I built such a repertoire with my teachers. Looking back, I'm just realizing this. I didn't know my grades at the time, but it was a 70, an 80, a 75, and everything. Nothing was below 70, but nothing was above an 85, right? For the first time in my entire life. And my teachers, my tutor, and my parents were crying. And me personally took it the wrong way. I was like, shoot. Like
I let them down.
Because we did all that time, all that money, all those investments, and we still don't have a 90.
God,
but they were crying for the exact opposite reason, because it was the first time. My dad said it on our episode. He cried a bit when he said it, because it was the first time my parents and teachers had hope.
Man, wow, that's unreal.
I'll never forget that meeting. I was like, oh, I let him down, but they all had hope, like, oh, he's gonna do it.
So, folks, replay weareinfinityx.com. YouTube, iTunes, and Apple, Spotify. So what happens next, Dylan? Right? So you're just, God, you're so, you're miraculous. I'm so unbelievably impressed by you. So of course, brother, well earned. You graduate, right? Did you have aspirations of going to college, or did you say to yourself, you know what, entrepreneurship is in my blood? Tell me more.
This started before graduation, because I'm class of 2020. We are called the COVID class, right? So we were kicked out of the school in March.
Oh, no. Okay.
So not only did I not really get to walk, we did a drive-through graduation, whatever. It didn't really matter. But it felt good to be able to know I did it. No, COVID, everybody can relate. What did we have? Plenty of that we complain about every day that we don't have now. Time. We had nothing but time. You put a 19-year-old kid in his room, not allowed to see his friends, not allowed to do much. He's going to figure some stuff out. So I started exploring the internet, as most everybody did at that time. And I'd come across a man by the name of Ryan Serhant.
Okay.
Ryan is the star of $1 Million Listing. He's the owner of Serhant Real Estate. He's a motivational speaker, and he does YouTube for businessmen. Then now, following through Ryan Serhant, I'd introduced myself to a guy named Gary Vandertruck. Gary V.
Big Gary V. Yeah.
Started watching and listening to him, and then I had reached and I found Jordan Belfort, and he's not a great role model, but he has business background. And then I had found Grant Cardone, and then I just started meeting and not meeting them, but finding a lot of people on the internet. And then, if I've got nothing but time, I had realized that I've been just sitting like everybody else. Everybody called it the COVID-15. So what I had started to do was
COVID-15. I never heard of that. That's amazing, by the way. I love that. By the way, Dylan, time stands for things I must earn. You see, the thing is, people waste a lot of time,
I tell everybody that asks me questions, and all my mentees, is like, anything worth doing is going to take time, and anything worth doing is going to cost money. Anything worth doing is going to be hard.
Yep. So you start. So you got the idea, and whoever impressed this idea upon you, if it was yourself or somebody else, well, okay, so you recognized that for you to elevate in mastery in whatever discipline that you wanted to go about, that you had to model after people that were doing it at a high level, right? So you looked at Gary V. You looked at Grant Cardone. Maybe you came across Chris Crone. Maybe you came across Sean Callaghan. Maybe you came across myself or my partner, Rob Gill. But you saw people that were doing things that the other 99%ers are not doing. Correct. And so you started to adopt some of those principles, I assume.
And one was exercise, right? And I had nothing but time for exercise. And at this time, I did have an internship lined up, but it was paused at a small tech company. Okay. So I started running every day. Okay. At the high school. So I ran the high school to the middle school, around the middle school, down around the fall school, up back around the high school. By the way, that is 1.8 miles, one lap.
Yep, I know. That's a troop. Believe me, I know the geography very well, brother.
There are hills and stairs and all. and I did it the first night, and it was 3 miles I did, 3 point something miles. And I had shin splints, and my legs were tight, and I could barely get to the car.
Yep.
And then I came home, I took a hot shower, and I was like, oh my God.
I'm never doing this again.
I had a vortex in my mind that opened up because I ran to a motivational speech. And my mind had never moved that way. I've never thought in such a verdict. I've never thought in such a light. I feel like a whole different side of me or side of my brain extended and was like, whoa, like a light bulb went off. I was like, I've got to run 6 tomorrow night. And I ran 6 the next night. And I started thinking about what could I do? Here's this. I'm 19. What am I doing? X, Y, and Z. Still nothing. I run 8, night 3.
Jeez.
8 miles that third night.
Okay.
And then boom, it hits me. While I'm laying in the middle of the turf and I can't move my legs, I'm like, oh my God, that journey that I just went through was nothing but pain, nothing but emotion, nothing but bullying, nothing but, I mean, excuse me, but hell, like there's no way that I'm the only one that's ever been through that. So that night, it's dated September 2020. You can look on the page. I sat in this chair in this room and I talked to my phone for a half an hour. And I did the same thing probably 10, 13 times. It was the most terrifying, intimidating thing ever. And I created one thing, and it was an Instagram called D's for Dyslexia, same tag and everything you see today.
Yep.
And I posted that. And then I ran the next day and I stayed at 8 miles. And I posted another one. And I posted another one. Just whatever, right? Followed all my friends, whatever. Nothing. That internship goes, okay, you're good. So now I'm in a habit of going to work, coming home, running, and making a little, speech and posting it to Instagram. I'll never forget the first time somebody had commented. And it was such a comment. And then they DM'd me saying, we need more people like you. I love what you're doing. We had not even 100 followers.
Yep.
And I was like, that's it. Now that I have, so what clicked in my mind is like, I have people now that rely on this content. They need it. It helps them in so many different verdicts.
What recognition? Absolutely unbelievable. You essentially just backed into your marketplace essentially by being consistent. That's crazy. It's awesome.
And then now it's not about me. Now I can't stop because I have people counting on me. I'm letting people down. It's not fair to them.
Yep.
And then things just elevated. And I got my internship. I hustled. I got hired as an engineer at 19 in the financial sector in New York City. Nuts, no college. And I bumped into an executive producer. And my relationship building skills popped in, and I was just asking him about his shirt because he did the studio on a shirt. And then next thing you know, 10 hours later, I'm in his studio and I'm meeting with him, talking about opening up a podcast in his studio with him.
Amazing.
And I didn't know that the can of worms I opened was going to change my life. I just did not know it.
Yep.
And he said, for this deal, X, Y, and Z, you pay 300 something. And me personally, I had it, but I've never spent that much money on anything for myself that was like,
I love it.
That wasn't a box. That wasn't a snowboard. That wasn't a toy, I guess.
Yeah.
It was $300.
The scariest thing for most people, Dylan, the scariest thing to spend money on is their own personal self-development.
Do you know what's crazy? Is he knew I was scared, and I'll never forget him telling me this. He looked me in the eye after I paid him, and I was obviously like, "Oh, what did I just do?"
Yep.
I had no idea what can of worms I just opened, and he said, "It's a big deal you just did that, Dylan, because the move you're scared to make is the one that will change your life, and I can tell you were intimidated by this move."
Yep.
And I just sat back and like, wow. And when you sign to fill anybody else in, when you have an executive producer and a production crew and a studio, you find your guests, but also when you don't have guests, he finds your guests. And when he's an executive producer in New York City, his guests are people like Jadakiss, people like Floyd Mayweather, people like all of these rappers, Rick Ross. And you get in these rooms with these people and they act just like Dave Harder, astonished with my story. And now you're sitting in the room with all these A-list celebrities and they're going, I love what you're doing.
Holy
And you're
crap.
like, how did you get here?
Wait, hold on, Dylan. You just keep getting cooler by the minute. This is just. So you're telling me that you paid the money that you were scared to death to spend, right? And took that leap of faith, and you had Jadakiss, Rick Ross, Floyd Mayweather on your podcast list, or were you on their podcast?
I was not on theirs. They were not in mine, but they are big supporters of mine. You can look them up. They follow me.
Gotcha.
They DM me.
Gotcha.
I was with at Fashion Week. They're all big fans of what I'm doing. And what another light bulb went off is, as you know, in business, Dave, is a lot of people are I want to get rich. That's my message. That's my movement.
Yep.
That's my brand. Very unattractive, may I say. And they are all my business partners who do that are always so confused why, I have celebrities calling me on the daily. Like, how does Dylan always get these celebrities? I had Christian Perry, host and dancer on Dancing with the Stars.
Sure.
I sold out my second venue in September. It was 60 people. Every seat was full and the perimeter of the room was full standing.
Incredible.
Christian Perry comes in, black on black Rolls Royce, probably $2,000 Armani suit, walks through the doors. He was speaking. I didn't tell anybody. And my mom and brother's girlfriend, obviously all the girls in the room, know Dancing with the Stars. And like, oh my God, how is Christian Perry here? And he gets up there and he starts talking about how much he respects what we do and what I do and what I'm about. And it's crazy when you have those things happen. But what you realize is like, you are who you surround yourself with. And you start seeing things that they're doing, and they start taking you under your wing and bringing you into rooms where you can grow. And now the biggest question I always ask my boss at the firm, and I always ask my peers, and I always ask my celebrity friends is, where can I improve, right? Where can I grow? Where do you see I need growth? Like, I can get off of a stage with a standing ovation and parents crying, which I have many times, and I look right at the principal or I look at my assistant and I go, where did I mess up? Because the minute you stay content is the minute that you plateau. And the minute you plateau, there's no more going up. You'll sit, and usually when the wind blows a ball on top of a hill, it falls down the hill.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are Infinity X stage and microphone with absolute human excellence. This is the phenom, Dylan Smith. The company is D is for Dyslexia, and there are so many things to unpack in the statements that you just made, Dylan. It's absolutely just blowing my mind. And I think as you were sharing, I actually relatively recently put a video out centered around something that I would do differently if I was talking to myself 10 years ago. And one of the things I would do differently is I would change the 5 immediate people that were closest proximity to me, right? I would change the people that I surrounded myself with, because I'm of the opinion, especially in the field that I operate in, that while listen, in financial services there is no hiding the fact, in my opinion anyway, that many people who are sitting across a Zoom or a table from a prospective client are providing advice that they're not taking, quite frankly. And I think that the reason for that is because at its root, somebody like me, I'm an entrepreneur. Right? I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner, right? And for that to accelerate, it's very easy for me to sit across the table from somebody and say, hey, you need to reinvest back into yourself, unless I've actually been there, done that. And if I haven't been there, done that, then I'm giving crap advice. I'm giving advice that I don't stand behind and I don't believe in. And I identified so much with your story because in 2018, at a completely different point, quite honestly, in my own life, I invested $5,000 into going to a 3-day seminar that I had literally no clue what I was walking into. I was just operating off of faith, and because somebody who is now my partner suggested to me that it could be something that could elevate my life, and little did I know that you and I would not be doing this right now today had I not spent that money.
I have the exact same story. That's how I met Floyd Mayweather.
Literally.
So what was, I went to a conference for a complete stranger, and I paid it, and I sat there on a Saturday. In the first hour and a half, I was like, what am I doing?
Yep.
20 years old. I'm in a seminar. I paid money, and it's Saturday.
Yep.
I'm such an idiot. But I paid it. I've got to stay.
Yep.
I go to this VIP dinner. Fast forward, they go, you should come to Miami for the seminar. It's $700. Never spent that kind of money. So it's $700. I paid $200 for a flight. And then I was in a hotel room with 10 dudes. I slept on a shelf under a TV, right?
That doesn't sound very comfortable.
No, but your comfort zone will kill your dreams if you stay inside of it.
Amen. Dropping nuggets right there, Dylan. I love that. Yeah.
I need to stretch out of my comfort zone because the first time I ever did it was the studio and things changed immediately. So I'm always figuring out how to ways. And with my networking skills that I built from dyslexia in schools, I've been able to network with a bunch of these people, one of them being Bobby Valentine, one of them being Christian Perry, which was nuts.
Yep.
And so I end up getting on this plane with 5 strangers that I met once at a seminar with almost no money in my bank account because I did a hotel, a flight, and the ticket. And I ended up, I'm here. I'm getting every cent out of it. I ended up sneaking backstage a couple of times. I ended up making sure everybody in the 120-person seminar knew who I was, and I accomplished it. There was not one person who did not know who I was or was not following me by the end of that 2 days. And I got invited to this club with Rich the Kid that night because he didn't know what it was, but it was this dinner where all of the guys who spent the most, I guess, on tickets went to dinner, and the organizer invited Rich the Kid, and everybody was like, who's this kid? So I get a call because I didn't have the VIP ticket because I could not afford it. I got base. I get a call, and they were like, everybody's talking about you. Do you think you could come? And it was my producer because he went out there too. And I was like, sure. And he's like, okay, we're sending a car. I was like, well, what am I looking for? And he's like, you'll know it when it pulls up. And it's Rich the Kid.
Okay. Yeah. And it was Rich the Kid.
Yep. Phantom. And the guy gets out and he goes, Dylan? And I was like, yeah. He goes, this is you. I get in the back. I look to my right, and there's Rich the Kid. And then we go to this dinner, and we talk the whole way. And I guess it's like leave an unforgettable, hardworking, good, positive impression on everybody, no matter who you think they are, no matter who they are, and don't burn bridges because you can't walk over a bridge that's gone.
Isn't that the truth? Jesus God. Holy cow. We are Infinity X, a stage and microphone with human excellence. This is Dylan Smith. This is the most excellent of excellence. Folks, if you're not getting massive value, replay weareinfinityx.com, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, all of those. Watch this again and then rewind that back and watch it one more time because you're going to see the constant messaging of strategy, right? Everything that Dylan is talking about right now, guys, is intentionality, right? Every person in that 120-person room not only was going to know him, right, know who he was, but he was going to leave an impression upon. That was intentional. Right. And what the outcome was going to look like was yet to be defined, which is cool. Right. But the intentionality behind what Dylan is speaking to is it's one of the centerpieces of business, intentionality, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, Dylan, so let's, obviously you're making huge impressions on huge A-list personalities, right? Which is amazing. But they're behind D is for Dyslexia, right? They're behind your company. They're behind you, but they're behind your company, behind your message. What is D is for Dyslexia bringing to the community? Like, what is the product?
Dude, it's I cannot say how happy I am that I've started this journey, because every decision we make will have a consequence, good or bad.
Sure.
And it will either tomorrow or it'll hit you next month. I got talked into holding my first business dinner. $2,200, biggest investment now that I've ever made. This is after Miami, on my 21st birthday.
Okay.
Not even a year ago we did this.
Okay.
And another thing that changed my life. Videos had went out of that. I invited a celebrity I'd met, which is Tony Marino. He's signed under Rick Ross, very talented. Look him up. A good buddy of mine.
Okay.
He had come to let me interview him and do a meet and greet with everybody, which helped market the heck out of this dinner. And I'd asked him what his price was, knowing how businesses and celebrities, like, what do you want me? He said, don't worry about the price. I love the message. He gets there. I try to pay for his parking. He said, don't worry about it. He pays for his parking. His mom, his security guard, and him. There, that's it. And I did the dinner. I interviewed a bunch of people, my producer, a mentor, my dad, and then I had a speech. And Tony, of course. And the videos that were produced that night, that went out everywhere, tagging me by a lot of people, including Tony, my producer, all these people, was seen by just the right people. And little did I know, if you guys go back and listen to one of my very first podcasts, I had asked for everything that I accomplished this last year, which is ridiculous because I do a lot of reflection on where I can improve in interviewing and where I can improve in speeches. So I'll probably listen to a speech or interview 10, 15 times. And then I listened to it and I'd asked, I want to speak to schools. I want to speak to kids. I want to host events and I want to be a famous public speaker. Right? And I want to travel. The firm, I had left the right impression on the right guy in Boston 6 months prior, flew me out to LA for a month, paid for. I'm in LA, I get a call. I have this school district in Virginia booking me for thousands of dollars to speak to the kids, the board, and the teachers. All because of dinner. All because of this dinner. All the videos from it. And then I get calls from Tony like, hey, come do this and this for us. And then I get another call from the same Wall Street firm, Oppenheimer. It's an Oppenheimer investment bank on Wall Street. Mm-hmm. We want you to travel for us for this next year. So now I'm riding around, Delta first class, gold Amex in my pocket, doing all this tech work for Oppenheimer Investment Bank. I did LA, I did Chicago, I did Boston, I did Colorado, I did Houston, Dallas, DC, Fairfax, Virginia, all these states paid for, first class seats. I wanted to travel, very first podcast, it happened. I wanted to talk to kids and stuff, it happened. I wanted to do sold out shows, it happened. And it's like speaking it out when the difference between people who go, I want and I will, is you say I will enough, you start figuring out how you can proceed and take action.
100%, absolutely. What you do is you go through each and every single day, not with 5 goals in mind, but with the 5 goals you already accomplished. Right? Totally flips the script right there. If you begin your day saying, okay, I accomplished goal X, Y, and Z, you are going to accomplish those, right? It's going to be a failed day if you don't, right? But it's a shift in the mindset. I love that, bro. Love it.
Yeah. So Ds for Dyslexia, our goal is to impact, inspire, motivate, and educate at the highest level to produce a system where the teachers, the board, and the kids are all completely aware of a first-person point of view day of a kid who's dyslexic and might not know it.
Incredible.
And when you give that perspective that I gave in the beginning of this interview, the parents are crying, the board's like, wow, and the kids are no longer get bullied because their peers realize, shoot, maybe they're working harder than us.
Yep. So maybe they're not stupid, you know?
No. Well, my biggest thing that I always say at every school is if you are dyslexic, I make it very known and clear. The words may be backwards, but you are not, because I knew that I thought that I was backwards for so long. When you figure it out, if you don't know, dyslexia makes the words and stuff flip around. The only thing that's backwards are the words. It's not you. Wow. So when I went to these schools and I had these moms crying, I had these kids hugging me. I had a 3rd grade girl hug me and tell me, you inspired me today. Like that is what this company is about. That is what this brand is about. We were in a school in New York City. That video went up last week. In that video, I don't know if you saw it, another 3rd grade girl said, you definitely inspired us today. That is what this is about. I love that. It will pay for everything. I don't care. I invested $44,000 in my company this year. That is what it's about. I'll invest $88,000 if I can get that.
Dylan, you're going to laugh at $88,000 in about 5 years. You mark my words.
I don't care. Bro. It's just, that's what it's about. It's about, not only bringing in awareness, but giving them the steps and the connections that I had used and the programs that we use and understand the mindset that they need to take on. And, if we can do we will do it to a point where, Eric Adams just passed a law in New York City. So watch out, New York City. We're coming to New York City because he passed the law for
yes, thank God.
Exciting project we just working on.
Awesome. Awesome.
I want the parents and teachers, as you know, as a parent with a kid with disability, usually it's a war zone. The parents come in to fight for their kids, and the staff are just there to do their job, right? Yep. But the biggest thing when you're in those meetings is to remind the staff, I understand you're a parent too. Let's put your parent shoes on for a second and see how I'm feeling. Yep. This whole thing's about perspective. Yep. If you are staff in an IEP meeting, you're like, these parents are going to yell at me. And the parents are like, I'm going to yell at you. Before you even get in the room, everybody's already in that mindset. But if you go in, you go, hey, you have kids, right? Yeah, I've got 2 kids. Oh, yeah. What are they doing? Are they struggling? Anything? No. Can you imagine where I am right now? Now there's no war. Here's a first person look at how my kid's going through a day.
You are literally describing the superpower of influence. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. I swear to God that you don't. I mean, I'm blown the F away, man, that you don't have more formalized influence mastery training, and you are at the level that you're at, bro. Your future is insane.
I appreciate that.
Insane. I see you in my future in a big way, my guy. Absolutely, man. Oh my God. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It's just like Infinity X is about showing and showcasing. And I talk about human excellence all the time. It's in, people can take it for whatever it is. I am a firm believer in human excellence and showcasing human excellence, not to be braggadocious about it, but to get people to see and identify that if you model after people that are doing things the way that you're doing them, human excellence, in my opinion, the capabilities are limitless. Literally limitless. And so, and I mean, you obviously fall into that category, but my great hope is that somebody who, downloads the replay, at one of our social channels, listens to this, rewinds it, listens to it again, and takes action on an initiative that they have a core belief in, and reaches out to you, Dylan, right? To, just potentially get guidance, potentially look at business partnership, ecosystem merging. That's a very, very real, very powerful thing. And you're an ecosystem that I want a part of, brother.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But really quick, back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
When you can be relatable and you put the staff in their parents' shoes, they'll listen to you because you're no longer enemies. You're both parents trying to be the best for your kids.
So,
right?
DS for Dyslexia has come up with, you have a curriculum as well for students that are suffering?
That's in the works. That's a big project. We have a book in the works as well, a documentary in the works as well, but everything's in the works. But the biggest thing is just impact is my word. I love impact and inspire as many lives as we can impact as possible. And this Christmas, it left me in tears because I haven't seen impact that I was making. And then Christmas has come around and my phone blew up from all these fans I didn't even know I had. Because I need people to remember, like, you'll get 10 people watching, but one will engage. One will like and one will comment. That's it. So you got 2 likes and a comment out of 10 people, but 10 are watching.
Yep.
I had my phone blown up this Christmas telling me all these stories in my DMs about how I inspired them, how I impacted them, how they've done X, Y, and Z since they've watched me. And they're just thanking me from the bottom of their heart. And honestly, like, I am just a kid trying to help those who need it most. That is our biggest thing here. I appreciate you saying I'm excellent in that category of excellence. I personally don't believe I am. I think I'm, people compare themselves to others. Like, I want to be Rick Ross. I want to be this. I am chasing me in 10 years today. I'm chasing me tomorrow. Every day, whatever I can do to be better and be a better version of myself. So I'm unrecognizable in 6 months. Let's do it. That's who I compete with. Yeah. Don't compete with or not. Be authentic. Stay true, because if you stay authentic, the people who you want in your corner will stay. If you lose the authenticity, people who you want in your corner will leave. And that's how you get surrounded by the bad energy, and that's how the ball rolls back down the hill.
We are Infinity X, dropping microphones right here, stage and microphone, human excellence. Dylan Smith, the company is D is for Dyslexia. The story is powerful beyond belief. The message is powerful beyond belief. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to pay attention. You want to pay attention to what Dylan is doing, right? And not necessarily just from a standpoint of the influence and impact that he's having on the dyslexia community, but the business community, right? This is an entrepreneur, right? This is somebody who is going to be a center stage speaker at somebody like Tony Robbins one day. This is somebody who is going to be speaking on Grant Cardone's podcast someday. This is somebody who is going to create generational wealth for his future family, and not because he went at it from the standpoint of I'm going to become rich and I'm going to make a family rich, but because he's going at it from a standpoint that he deserves and he gets compensated and deserves the compensation for spreading a message of hope for people that otherwise probably in many cases feel hopeless. I would have to imagine that the suicide rate for folks that have dyslexia is higher than is on the higher side because of the frustration that comes into play. I have nothing to back that up whatsoever. Dylan, maybe you do, but that's.
But you have advice for it. So the power of one more. I talk about this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Say you want to quit vaping, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they go, well, I'm going to start, or I'm going to do 1 week, or I'm an alcoholic and I'm going to go for 1 month and see how it feels. But if you say, I'm not going to drink tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
one more day, I'm not going to vape tomorrow, one more day, I'm going to do my homework one more day. One day can turn into so many things, right?
Sure.
The difference between I'm going to do it one more day versus I'm going to do it tomorrow never comes.
That's right.
But one more does. And one more is it's like saving in a piggy bank when you're a kid up to high school. You all had that kid when you graduated, you thought of, who graduated with like $5,000 because he never spent his Christmas money or whatever that was.
Yep.
And that's the power of one more, right? Everything is accumulative. So if you're struggling, do one more day of school. If you're frustrated at homework, do one more day of homework. If you're frustrated with your tutor, just do it one more day. I promise it'll pay off. I promise you'll learn something. I promise there's a light bulb that will go off. I go to the gym every day, but I don't go for a week. I go for one more day.
Incredible. Oh, my God. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Infinity X. This has been Dylan Smith. The company is Dyslexia. Replay, we are infinityx.com, YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. And, the thing I'm going to leave everybody with, is where this young man is going. Because if you're not blown away, then you don't have a pulse. But I think what people are dying to know, Dylan, is okay. We fast forward the clock, right? We're 5 years down the road. What are you up to? What are you up to? Is it just you double down on this? Are there other aspirational energies that you have? Where are you going, brother?
I want to impact and inspire in any and every way I can. This brand is 100% not for me at all. It's not. What I'm doing is not for me. Mm-hmm. I can humbly, as an adult, say I have everything I want and need. This is honestly just for those who need it. I want those who need it to do something with it. And that's what I'm excited for. Like that 3rd grade girl who hugged me and I inspired her. I want to know who she becomes. I want to know who she becomes, what she does with it. Like that's what this is about. I want to see how many schools we go to. We talk to 10,000 kids in the next 2 years. What are those 10,000 kids going to do? Oh, what if we build something in schools? How will this impact of a wave we make change dyslexia on educational speaking forever be like?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And my story, I want it to be resonating with a lot of people, because if you were adopted, dude, I was adopted twice. If you're struggling with something financially, I grew up on food stamps. If you're being bullied, dude, 10, 13 years of bullying. If you're on the wrong meds, 10, 13 years on the wrong meds. Wow. Just one more. That's it. And this isn't for me. It's for those who need it. And that is where I feel my most fulfillment. That is where I have my most joy, is when I'm making a difference and I can see it. I get these testimonials that make me cry because I'm human, of people telling me I changed their lives. And I want them to change lives too, though. That's how I want this to work.
Well, I'll tell you what, you are changing lives. You are impacting people. Anybody who's listening tonight and everybody who downloads the replay and streams this, they are going to walk away feeling a little bit more optimistic about themselves and what they are capable of doing. And if you didn't, you weren't listening. So replay it one more time, because the fact of the matter is that if Dylan Smith, who grew up on food stamps, has been adopted twice, suffered from dyslexia, and was placed on ADHD medication and Ritalin for 10 years, and yet graduated, first and foremost, just graduated from high school. But accelerated into rooms with A-list celebrities, and is running a company that is not only inspiring and providing a message of hope for young people that are suffering from some of the same things, but is creating another stage and another microphone for people to be heard. Right, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't hear that tonight, then you just frankly weren't listening. So listen. Right? Put the cotton in your mouth and take it out of your ears, right? And listen. Dylan, I got to tell you, I've done hundreds of podcasts, and I've had really, really cool people on Infinity X. You are the coolest guy I've ever had on here. There's no freaking doubt about it, bro. No doubt about it. And you're also somebody that I am going to pay attention to, right? And I see you in my future, and I'm excited to co-create with you business-wise as well as personally. I think there's a lot of upside here, and I have some ideas that I'm going to share with you privately. But I want to thank you for providing your experience, strength, and hope to aspiring entrepreneurs and to people, maybe people out there that are suffering from dyslexia. There are channels that are out there. How do people find you, Dylan? Give us all the socials and the website. If you want
to find everything, you just look up Dylan Smith Dyslexia and everything pops up. The magazine, the New York Weekly article, the website, the YouTube, it's all there. You can look up the website, which is disfordyslexia.com, no spaces, that'll pop right up. Or, that's where everything is. Or just, if you want everything, Dylan Smith Dyslexia on Google, it all comes right up.
Dude, you pop right up to the top of the list. That is unbelievable. Dylan, before we conclude, parting shots, anything that you want to leave with the audience that keeps them coming back for more, wants to search you out and wants to keep coming back to Infinity X?
You got this. If you have invested the time to listen to this podcast, you are willing to invest the time somewhere else to improve on yourself, and you've got whatever you want. The difference between a dreamer and a doer is the dreamer doesn't take his head off the pillow when the alarm clock goes off. And if you are not chasing something that you feel passionate enough about, then you are going to need an alarm clock to wake up. But if you don't need an alarm clock to wake up because you're excited about this day, I promise you, you got this. I don't care who you are. If you are on food stamps, if you're not on food stamps, you have parents. If you don't, if you're an orphan, you've got this. Because guess what? Everybody's got this. The capability of anybody as a human, LeBron wasn't born as LeBron. Justin Bieber wasn't born as Justin Bieber. Dave wasn't born as Dave. I wasn't born as Dylan. We built ourselves into who we are. And if we can do it, it's going to sound incredibly cliche, but if we can do it and get through it, you can too. And I promise you, 1, you're not alone. And 2, ask anybody who you look up to, did they get to where they are without any help? They'll say no. And if they say yes, they are lying to you. Don't be afraid to ask for help and to build a community. The community is as strong as you are. It's like a chain on a bike. The weakest link breaks off, you have no chain.
Oh, man. And with that, hey, Dylan, by the way, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to look up a guy by the name of T. Shane Johnson. T. Shane was on my podcast about 3 months ago. Approximately about 3 months ago. His watch the replay on there. His story is absolutely incredible. Actually, relatively similar, not from a dyslexic standpoint, but served our country, and he actually died twice. Lost use of his left arm by about 60%, and set the Guinness Book of World Records record for most consecutive push-ups in, I think, a 12-hour period of time. So your message...
the audience is going to do anything that they want in the world.
Thank you.
I know it.
Thank you. And so check him out. I think that there's co-collaboration right there. I think that you guys, I definitely think there's some synergy. That's what this is about, ecosystem merger, right? It's about 1 + 1 = 1 trillion, infinite opportunities by paying attention to people who are doing things at a high level, matching and mirroring and measuring after people that can elevate you. That's what you did. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope that is what Dylan was able to provide for you this evening. Dylan, you're the man. I can't thank you enough for your message of courage here over the over the past hour. It's just been an honor and a privilege. I look forward to connecting with you privately, brother. You're a rock star, man. You're a rock star. Thank you for being such an inspiration.
Thank you for letting me come on the show.
The privilege was mine. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Infinity X, stage and microphone, human excellence. This has been Dylan Smith. Each and every single week, we are coming out with new content, new entrepreneurs, new individuals that you aspire to either be a little bit more like, right? Or measure what they're doing so that you can implement that into your world. I want to thank you all for spending the time. Again, replay, weareinfinityx.com, iTunes, Spotify, and the website, and YouTube, excuse me. And until next time, this is David Harder signing off, another edition of We Are Infinity X. Everybody have a great night.